Okay, so it is now April 20th. It is cold outside, just plain nasty. Almost like spring is not going to be here. It's still winter weather. What a weird thing. So I'm back working on the Ford, 41 Ford. Yes, the 41 Ford, the little flathead V8 in it. I've got my parts that I need. This is the coil. This is the coil. Now that coil, I don't know, but I think these are either original coils. I can almost believe that they are in that original genre of coils. This truck only has like 30,000 miles on it, really. It has 38,412 miles, and yes, that does work. The odometer or speedometer and odometer work. I did put a new belt on it here. I had one, believe it or not, and Timothy bought another one. We're going to put that behind the seat. I don't think I'm going to put a new one on, that one on. I'll just keep the green one because it's more to the original size belt that was on here. I threw it on the ground, obviously. It actually was a Napa belt, but there's the number, and when we crossed over the numbers, it came out to that one. So, and there it is, which is great. It's fine by me. This one here just so happened to be the perfect size for it. It's a Napa belt also. But anyways, the coil condenser is getting replaced. I've got those parts, and I actually have the distributor caps. There's four wires that go through there. There's nothing wrong with the wires because they're solid copper wires and they work just fine. There's nothing sparking or jumping around in there. I had it running in the dark. That's how you can tell if they're doing that. I do have some bad wires here, but I'm going to buy the wiring harness and completely restore the wiring harness on this truck before I do what I'm going to do. I'm going to actually drive this truck, believe it or not. I'm going to drive it wherever I want to go. It's not a fast truck, but it's a truck that'll get me down the road. I'd love to get a 2-speed truck stole rear for it, or ruck stole rear for it, and go from there. But anyhow, I'm going to get onto this thing, get that off of there, and I got to pull the tubes off with the spark plug wires. It's just easier to do that all in one shot than it is to actually... I have the new boots and everything for on there too, and gaskets. They're all in here. New gaskets, new boots, another gasket. Here's the other boot, and I'll replace that. So the points and condenser, the points that are inside are new. The condenser's old. So that'll all get replaced, and it'll look pretty nice going in there. The wires are there's nothing wrong with the wires, but I'll get back to you when I get them out of there. Alright, so I'm just going to talk about this as I'm going. If you don't know much about a flathead V8, you're not alone. I don't know much about the flathead V8 either. I know that they went through many stages of improvements and upgrades from the first ones, which is kind of normal. Now the Model T engine, that was pretty much the ignition systems were really the only thing they changed on those, but Ford changed quite a bit on this V8 before he actually got it right, or at least the guys that were working on it, As I love it when people say, well, Henry never did anything like that on those cars. Well, you're right. You see, I like Henry Ford's philosophy. He said, I may not know how to do everything on my cars or in my life. He said, but give me 5 minutes and I'll find someone that can, which is an awesome philosophy. Or an awesome way of thinking. Now, I glued that thing on there with silicone for a very good reason. Oh God, and I'll tell you what the reason was. I didn't have a gasket, and I can't say that I was in a hurry. I just didn't want to put it on there without an insulating property of some sort. So let me get a small wrench there. That's the 30 seconds. So you're probably wondering how I deduced that it was a coil that's bad on the truck without any special equipment, and I'm 100% confident that this is the problem with the truck. And the reason I'm 100% confident that this is the problem is because I've been around a while and I've worked on things for many, many years of my life, like all of my life, whether it's as simple as a tractor or as complicated as my, tractors. Tractors are more complicated than cars. But as you can see, I put that silicone on there and it did work pretty well. Alright, so this has been on here for a while. You can see that whoever painted that engine at some point a million years ago, they had some overspray there and they sprayed on this thing. Now what happens to a coil over time, a coil gets hot. They get hot, and then the tar that is in there, because that's what they seal these old ones with, is tar. Well, that tar becomes it loses its insulation properties, okay, and it goes bad. So you can go out to your vehicle in the morning with a coil. It doesn't have to be a Ford coil. It could be any coil for that matter. Go out to your vehicle in the morning and your car will start up and you get down the road 5 miles, and then all of a sudden the damn thing will start to spit and sputter and you think you're running out of fuel, and you give it a little bit of a choke or whatever, and you choke it some, and then it seems to straighten out, but then it seems like it's starving for more and more fuel. You have to richen it up in order to get it to actually, stay functioning. So these coils have a little graphite brush on them. Here's the little graphite brush. Alright, so this graphite brush is only, what is that, about 1/4 of an inch long, and you can see there's a lot of wear on it where it had been riding in and out on the distributor coil or cylinder. It doesn't have a distributor. It's got, well, I'll take you out of there and I'll show you what I'm talking about here. Inside there, you see that brass ring that's in the middle? Well, that's a cylinder, and that thing, it's a distributor cylinder, and that brush rides on there. And that transmits the power from the coil to the cylinder, which then, when the points break and the condenser releases its power or its energy out into the distributor cap, which goes out through, or the inner distributor cap. There's an inner and an outer, which I will show you in a little bit. Then it can travel up the wires, and life will be all sorts of good. So it works. Well, when this little thing here, this little brush gets worn out, or just the spring loses its tension, and I'm going to get you the new one because I have that here. Here's the new one. You can see the difference in the length of it is just, that one's old. Okay, so how do I know that that coil is bad? Well, when coils get warm, the things expand in there, and heat actually makes it harder for energy to be transmitted through the coil or whatnot, and things expand in there, and if it's grounding out on something inside the coil, then against itself, it will just start to slowly stop working. Due to my experience in life with these things, I know the symptoms of a coil that has gone bad. Now, the new coil, I'm going to put you back up on there as I screw this thing fast. The new coil is made with modern technology, as they say. Okay? So, the new coil and distributor condenser, and they are the same, made with modern technology, in which it will be a longer lasting coil. Let's see what the number is. Doesn't have a number on this one. Yeah, this is ancient. You can't even get a brown one anymore. They're all black. So it says in the paperwork that came with the coil that the coil is not going to make your truck or car run any better than it ever did if your points and your fuel system is not correct. But if your points and your fuel system are correct, then you will have many, many miles of happy motoring, which I could agree to. Oh, boy, this thing's going to be a stubborn little bastard, isn't it? Here, let me remove these gloves. There's nothing greasy on this anyway. Yeah, so it's always good to make sure that your points are clean and a coil can cause carbon buildup too if it's not functioning properly. But here's my little condenser. What this does is when the points close, this condenser stores the energy, and then it's a rapid release of energy coming out of that sucker. So yeah, there it is. Alright. Nice thing is that it's really not that difficult to service these things, but before I do that, I gotta make sure that the screw is correct, and it is. Cool. You can't get it wrong either, by the way. It's got a a little flat spot on it that directs so that the coil is in the right spot, or the condenser is in the right spot. Can't screw it up. Now, I've never worked on a flathead V8 other than that one that I got from Mr. Heavy Chevy 3 or 4 years ago, 1936, which is a little different than this one, believe it or not. Just a little bit different. Not a lot different, just a little. So, yeah. Anyway, I still have plans for that one. I've been going to build a rat rod for a long time, but you don't take a good vehicle like... Boy, that's actually smaller than that. Oh, okay. I think I got a smaller screwdriver, right? There it goes. Sure, there's somebody out there going to say I'm doing this wrong because I need dielectric grease or some shit, but I think I'll be okay. It's nice and clean. Yep. There's grease and dirt and built up in there. Okay. Okay. So that is now officially seated on there. Pretty nice. Let me give it another quarter crank, twist off the screw, and we'll be all good. There, that's it. Alright, so you're probably wondering why I'm not out in the field. Well, actually I have Tim and Cody out spreading potash. It's windy, but I got them in the driest areas that I can get them on. And, you know, I don't have another spreader. So, I'll keep them busy with that while I'm playing around with this, and life will be good, like I said earlier. So you got to make sure that your little brush there is in a good spot. Oh, can you believe that? I'm sure Carl would be saying, hey, put some silicone on that. I'm not going to do that because there's really no... This keeps water out. It doesn't keep oil in. So we got that to deal with now. Why in the hell that thing ain't going where I want it? Huh. Disputed, huh? Huh. So I'm going to curse and swear a little bit here in a second. You know how that goes, right? There it goes. So, I'm hoping I'll be able to reach my finger in there and make sure that the brush is where it belongs. Yep. I'm going to show you a little something. Okay, here we go. Alright, so the coil, I've replaced the coil. I did not put the wire onto it, the hot wire onto it yet. Just no need to. There is a retaining washer that goes on the inside of these things. This one is old and broken because it's old. This truck is how old, you know, 1941. We're talking a long time ago. 80 years old, maybe? Let's see, 78 years old, right? 78 years old. Alright, so this is how this weird thing works. I actually like the old caps over the new caps. You know what I mean? I just do. And it would probably be a really good idea for me to actually mark these wires on the inside, because if I get them wrong, I'm going to have a mess. So here's what I'm going to do is, you see these boots, one goes in it goes on the inside and then over the top, so they're shot. I actually have new ones, and I'm going to put those on as soon as I get my wires removed. So here's how this is going to go. I'll pull these through, maybe, yep, hopefully. And I'm just replacing both pieces because, you know, over time, plastic or Bakelite, which is what I believe this is, if you look at it, it's got a really weird pattern to it. It's some kind of Bakelite. It gets old and brittle. So, yeah. Oh, neat. Really neat. Here's what you got. So here's the brand new one, and I'm going to pull this all off of here. It is slightly different than what the other ones were. I'm just going to have to okay, so I got 5/8. Huh. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So this is where we need to be. Okay? Just like so. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to mark these a little bit here. I got to come up with something. We'll mark the how am I going to mark these things? Because I got to mark them before I go ahead and put them all on, or take these off, because I got to slide those out. There's nothing wrong with these. They're copper. They're solid copper in there, so they don't go bad. You know, I mean, they'll break inside. They do go bad over time, but these are, I don't know. They seem okay. They look okay. They look like they were replaced at some point, not really all that long ago. So I think I could probably remember how these go on here. But yeah. So yeah. So, ooh, that one's missing. It's a little doodad. Someone did not. Well, whoever did this did not solder the end of that. So we've got that little bit of an issue to deal with. Okay, I'm going to shut the camera off and deal with this. I had some company that didn't want to be on film, and I just kept working as we were bullshitting, and I actually employed them as help. So I finished the job, and now I'm just going to show you what I had done and explain to you the difference, or the whole ordeal here. Alright, so if you look down in there, you see that I've got the new Ford coil on the top there, and I put new caps on, new gaskets on, new boots in here. Let me see. I'm going to point to them because this needs to be a little bent just a little bit. So everything needs to be working properly. This wire, you can see it is bare and bald as my head, and that's going to need some repair work. I think I'm just going to buy a whole new wiring harness if I get the chance to, or next time I'm playing around with it. The generator is not working, so took the generator apart here. And, ooh, I'm blinding myself. I took the generator apart, and in the back, the brushes, there's two springs that hold the brushes to the armature, and they were broken. So Timothy so kindly ordered a couple for the truck on eBay. He paid $11 for it. So they'll be on their way. I did put new spark plugs and everything into it. It's kind of a pain in the neck to get this right. The firing order, I think, is 1324 on this side, and then the remainder's on the other side. Yeah, and if you know anything about these Ford distributors down there, they're a pain in the ass. It's right in the front. It's not as bad as you think. You know, I think whining and complaining, people complain about them more than they really should, but they are not exactly the easiest thing to get to. But you take the 2 bolts out that hold these, the wire casings, these wire tubes. If you take those 2 bolts out and you pop the cap off and pull this thing up out of there on both sides, there's actually 3 bolts that hold that whole distributor business on there. Now, you really have to pay attention to the distributor, because if you turn it, it'll be out of time, and you don't want it to be out of time because that can be a real pain in the ass. So I did not turn it. I kind of know what I'm doing a little bit about these things. I've never worked on one, but I know all about distributors, and if you don't do it right, you got problems. This is the vacuum advance tube, and it does work. The one thing that doesn't work is my windshield wipers, and I have to take those apart, and this vacuum hose here collapses under the vacuum, so it just does. Air cleaner. These Fords, actually the Chevys of this era are horrible for, where in the hell is this thing now? I gotta find it. I laid it over here. It's as good as nothing when you have it on. As soon as I find it, I will show it to you, for the love of Mike. Anyway, what the hell did I do with that thing? Yeah, maybe it's over here. Oh, here it is, right on the seat. Okay, there's a little bit of a testing unit. Alright, so, here it is. This is the cleaner. Ooh, what did I do? I just kicked the wires, man. Like I said, my generator isn't working, so I've got the battery charger on here, and it's charging the battery up. It'll stay up just fine. But anyway, here's your air cleaner, right? No, this is not. This is actually like a cough arrestor or backfire arrestor gizmo that goes on there. And it has a front, see it says, well maybe you can't see, but now you can. It says front on there. This little thing here is actually the original air cleaner for this thing. It is a copper thing. It's kind of stupid if you ask me, because what is that going to collect? Stones, moths, and things like that. And the other problem is I'm actually missing the top to it. So that's no good. But I'm actually going to go ahead and put something on top there, and so that it does pull the air through that weird little copper mesh thing and get it to go. But yeah. And let me do that, and then I'm going to fire the truck up for you, and you can listen to it run, and then I'll explain to you some of the other issues that I have found with it.